Welcome back to another episode of Mindful Conversations. We are about 8 video series into a 12 plus video series program, and the intention of the Mindful Conversations is to introduce you to a gamut of people that are so passionate about this sector and this industry, and helping you to decipher maybe who to call and who resonates with you, and that you can take action if you're feeling a little blue.
Yes.
My name is Nikki Check. I'm your host, and with me today I have Natalie Macdonald in studio with Tideline Wellness out of Penticton. Yes. Welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. It's really, really an honor to be here.
You had a beautiful drive in?
I did. It was absolutely lovely. It's just so nice to get to go be along the water, limited traffic, in the mountains. It's great.
We live in a beautiful region, and I think we sometimes forget. Mm-hmm. We sometimes forget. So, Natalie, if I can start, I do always like to do sort of that rearview mirror, that origin of where you came from. Mm-hmm. You are the owner of Tideline Wellness. When did you get into this work? When did you start? Can you give us a bit
Absolutely. So I actually knew that I wanted to be a counselor or a therapist since I was in about grade 11. It was a huge passion of mine to be able to help people and figure that out. So I was planning on going just through did the Bachelor's of Psych and went kind of that route. And it was just such a genuine, I wanted to be that person that I didn't get to have when I was in university. I found it really difficult to connect with counselors, especially as a psychology student. I'm like, well, what are they going to tell me that I don't know? But, it's now that you're actually in it, it's like, okay, well, it's less so that piece of it and more having a support system, having a sounding board, having guidance through some of these really difficult times in your life, and, just really enjoying that process and having that person that you get to go and speak with.
So you're grade 11, you have a calling, you feel it, you want to be that person that is helping other people.
Yes.
You pursue your schooling. Do you practice in a clinic? Did you do clinical?
So I did a practicum with the Foundry in Penticton, actually. But it was interesting. Like, another passionate piece of this was I had 3 concussions in high school. And it really, really affected my mental health. And it sent me into a bit of a different direction, especially when it came to anxiety and depression and experiencing, those when I never really had that before. And so I ended up doing, I wrote a paper on concussion and reporting intentions in adolescent hockey players with the OHA.
Yes.
And it also really sparked this passion to help athletes and high performers and, just more of a range of humans that maybe don't really know that counseling is an option or could be an option or anything like that. So that was another piece of this as well.
And the little I know of concussions is from billeting Rockets players over the years. Yeah. So one of our billets, Rourke Chartier, horrible concussion, constantly concussed. And there's like solitary confinement and dark and quiet and no stimulus. And I can't even imagine that time alone with oneself and the mental challenge. So
absolutely. And to even go into that, there's been new research around concussions where that's actually one of the worst things to do is sit in that dark room without support, without movement and anything like that. It's, making sure that you're doing exercise that is under your symptom threshold and eating well and, getting some movement and lots of rest and all of these things that, I was also taught, like, sit in a dark room, don't do anything for 2 weeks. And just with how your brain functions and it's trying to adjust, the neurochemicals in your brain, now all of a sudden we're sitting and not doing any of the things to, like, help that process along. And it's actually prolonging our, the negative effects it has on our brains, which is, this is new.
Okay, so you take a passion from grade 11, life experience around concussion, and you begin this journey. You practice at the Foundry. Mm-hmm. Then you launch Tideline Wellness? So
I basically, as soon as I got my registration, I started the private practice. Okay. So I was like, hey, I didn't really want to work under someone. I wanted it to be mine. And I wanted to do counseling the way that almost like I wanted to do it, which I find might be a little bit different than other counselors. There's more conversational. There's more, it's a little bit more gentle. It's not as clinical. And so I had this plan from the beginning. It was this passion, and Tideline Wellness. Tideline actually came from a coffee shop that I wanted to open when I was living in Australia with one of my best friends. And I thought it sounded too much like a restaurant, so it just got tucked away for this, I guess. So, amazing. Yeah. So, I opened that practice in March of 2022, and it's just been such an incredible experience. And I just love my job. Like, I love my clients. I love getting to help. I love getting to be that support. It's just been genuinely a journey. Isn't really wonderful.
And I do think when we follow our passions, we are so much better. We show up better, and we can give more and serve more.
Absolutely.
So I think that's so critical. So you're really fairly new in this space, which is exciting. Do you you started with you?
Just me.
Just you.
Just me.
And you now are expanding?
Yes.
Have expanded.
Okay. So I expanded the team in May of this year, and I brought on an absolutely incredible, genuinely wonderful team of virtual counselors, which has just been, the team that I created and I've spoken with, they're just all passionate. They genuinely want to help. They are just such great people. And it was wonderful yesterday, actually, because it's all been virtual, of course, because they're kind of scattered around BC and a few are in Alberta, is I got to meet a few of them because we had like team photos and lunch yesterday. And so just really getting to have that energy, it was just so fulfilling to be around everybody. So that was quite fun.
Are there barriers? And I'm probably asking a question that isn't overly relevant, but can I don't know how the college works or the governing body. Can someone in the province of British Columbia counsel virtually someone in Alberta and still have it go through MSPs or not covered?
It depends on the insurance, honestly. Okay. Like it's even plan by plan basis sometimes where like one plan will cover me and within the same company and another plan might not. But usually it's pretty good and you can usually go across province. It's just super dependent on the insurance company.
So Natalie, do you come from an entrepreneurial background?
No, no, I don't.
So you are the epitome of building the plane as you're flying it. Yes. I use the expression constantly. So you're learning business as you're building your business. And I think it's interesting that you and what, we've been together for 12 and a half minutes.
Yes.
So I don't know a lot about you, but I get the impression that you maybe don't subscribe to the status quo, that you don't super duper follow rules, that you like to color outside the lines.
Yes.
But you're creating this service offering that you feel reaches more people, that is more specific in its offering.
So with that, like there has been turbulence, of course, through this process. But I found during this whole thing, as a counselor, you don't get taught how to do the business, how to do Google ads, how to have administration, like booking in clients. That was a piece that, I had to learn from ground zero. It was a right angle learning curve at that point in time. And so as I was going on, that was also something that I really recognized is I have just as much as a business brain as having that counseling brain. And I wanted to be able to utilize both, but also, take that admin piece off of my counselors so that they get to do the thing that they are good at, which is the counseling. And I will take that administrative piece so that doesn't have to be their stress anymore. And so, through this whole experience, it's finding ways to connect with as many people as possible and be able to help as many people as possible. And, something else that I recognize is people, as I found quite a few people connect with me. So I thought if I created a team and I connect with these people, then maybe there's that chance that it'll be able to kind of filter out a little easier. I also wanted to be able to have that platform where I'm the established business. Let's bring on people that are under like that trusted name to be able to go from there, because you can go on to Psychology Today to find a counselor, but sometimes it's pages and pages of pictures and bios trying to find someone that you connect with, where what people can do is send me an email or send my team an email and say, hey, this is what I'm looking for. Who on your team can I connect with? Or even at the end of the day, they can go onto the website, look at the team, and instead of having hundreds, they have a select group of people that I handpicked that I know are just absolutely passionate about what they do and are phenomenal at what they do.
So again, they're self-picked by you, and they bleed the brand or bleed your character traits and values and passion.
Yes. Like every single person on my team is so passionate about it. And it's genuinely wonderful to get to speak to them about that. And it fills me up with joy and energy and all that aspect of things. And it makes me just want to work harder for them.
So as a fairly new business, I'm seeing two buckets, I'll call it. So we have the brick and mortar location where we can come into your clinic, and we can, it's yourself in person at the clinic. So you have, math says, you have a finite amount of time. You only have so much time that you can see people. And again, I know when you connect with someone, they want you. It's difficult to unattach them from you. So again, if you have the ability to help and maybe triage or see them in and then be able to move them on and up or over,
or even I have a fairly large list of clients, so people might not be able to get to see me until October, but hey, I've got these options of people where you could get in to see some of these counselors tomorrow if you would like. Of course, that's always dependent on until whose schedule fills up, but at the end of the day, it's just being able to create that reach and have people who, and speak to more people who might have a busy schedule or can't make it in or can't make an hour and a half drive, or connect with someone relocating. There's so many of those aspects where the virtual doesn't need to interrupt that piece. So if you relocate, well, now we've got that counselor that you have that connection with, and you don't have to retell your story all over again to someone new. Which can be very difficult.
And traumatic.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, love that. I'm wondering if you can share with us, maybe before I close this area with Tideline Wellness and move on to some of the other work that you're doing, the ideal client or ideal person would be?
I think that's a really difficult question to answer, purely because every single one of the people on my team has a different area and different people that they would like to work with. Like we have some people who are really wanting to work with youth. I have someone who's trained in EMDR and really enjoy and has adjusted that to be virtual. So working with PTSD, working with trauma, anxiety, depression, couples. I have a wonderful counselor who works with women specific and life transitions. And, so it's honestly, we hit a wide range of people.
Okay. So you are also creating workshops?
Yes. So that's super
These
fun.
are different than, okay, what is it that you're creating there?
So one of something that I have found, of course, with working in individual counseling, is that you can only really do so much with 1 hour because you can only talk to one person. And so I wanted to create a space where we can start conducting workshops to be able to have some of those conversations and those learning opportunities and that professional development aspect of things, to be able to talk to more people on a grander scheme. So Rita, who's one of the counselors on my team, she's starting her first workshop on Monday, which is very exciting. It's about effective communication. So just being able to have those, that opportunity, and then, just depending on going through workplace trauma and all that aspect of things. So workshops virtually. I also go into businesses and organizations and have conversations with all levels of staff, whether it's the executives or the team leads or even just the employees of these companies, to be able to create this really conducive workplace that everybody can benefit and help adjust with the leadership styles, just to create overall wellness at the end of the day.
And I think it was in your information that I read, it caught my eye, was health optimization. Was that? Yeah. So I find that interesting, because if you think of, I don't know, your credit score, or your, this could give you a sort of an index or give you a baseline of where you are, and then how you can optimize that health. And I think the workshops are an ability for people to sort in, I'm interested in effective communication or not.
Exactly. And I think, even when you're looking at that health optimization, within Tideline Wellness, we definitely believe in that somatic aspect to it. So how the body and mind are intrinsically connected, because what's going to affect one is going to affect the other. You sleeping, you eating, not getting enough exercise, all of those things will drastically affect your mental health. And it seems so simple, but it is so important to be able to make sure that all of these, it's like a puzzle, and it's figuring out all of the little puzzle pieces that go along to make this beautiful picture. And some days making sure it's like, it doesn't seem like this is going to, a 20-minute walk isn't going to do anything for me, but you never actually know, because we might be looking at that 1% better. And 1% better looks drastically different depending on the day. Sometimes it's going to be, these huge, big achievements, doing an Ironman, whatever that looks like. And other days it's going to be making your bed, going on a 20-minute walk, having a shower. And that 1% better is just going to change day by day.
And I think that's an important piece to share with people. I love the expression, small hinges swing big doors. And when you're in it, you think that 9-minute walk is for naught, that it won't have an impact. But when you compound that over the year, you take a peek in the rearview mirror and you see the distance that you've traveled and the work that you've done. I love your puzzle analogy because you gave to me a portrait puzzle of myself. And I'm like, oh, there's puzzle pieces missing. So I like that because it lets people know that there is an ability to create the piece that is missing in that, that artwork.
I mean, one of my, some of the favorite things that my coaches like to say to me is like patience and consistency. As an endurance athlete, that's all they tell me all the time is patience and consistency. And it's true. And sometimes you really don't want to have that patience. And sometimes it's really difficult to have that consistency. But sometimes it's just making some of those adjustments, and consistency is doing something every day, regardless of what that is.
I couldn't agree more. And I think it's those habits and commitments that you make to yourself. That allows me to springboard into the next question that is around athletic mental health.
Yes.
So that's an area of focus or a division. And then you're doing something that I think is
slightly bonkers.
I would not. I'll cheer you on, but I am not doing it. So please share.
Absolutely. So, I'm a triathlete, so I'm an endurance athlete, and even going through and looking at just like how we don't support athletes enough, and even just some of those mindsets and how much athletes can use counselors or counseling as a tool. It's just like going to physio or chiro or whatever that looks like to be able to fix their bodies. A lot of the times this is how we can support the mind, because that mindset is so important. It's huge. It's the difference between, I had a client who was able to just over 2 weeks with a visualization exercise add 2 seconds off of his swim. It's just massive. And so going through and being able to have that support, and how we deal with losing, and how we deal with, okay, you're injured. What can you do? Okay, you've hurt your leg. Let's look at core. Let's look at upper body. Let's kind of be able to focus on that. You can work on your mind game. There's so many pieces to that, which can get drastically affected when you're going through this. And there was this beautiful example that I'm forgetting their name, but they said that their coach, when they were going towards the Olympics, they provided with the rule of thirds. So a third of the time you'll feel amazing, and then a third of the time you'll feel iffy, and then a third of the time you won't feel very good. And as long as that balance is pretty much within those, you're doing okay. And so it's taking that piece into it, and looking at all the factors that go into how your game gets affected. So that was a huge passion piece, and looking at high level, not only athletes, but high performers, under that stress, under that pressure. A lot of the times it feels really lonely to be at the top, and really lonely to go through those experiences. Like training for an Ironman, I'm going on 8-hour rides, 7-hour rides, 6-hour rides, like on a weekend that doesn't leave a lot of time for friends, for family, for extras. And you have to be surrounded by people who get it. And there are people out there who just don't. So Bob Pond, who's an athletic therapist in Penticton, and I have come together, and we're in the planning phases of a fundraiser that we would like to work on. It's called Rise and Thrive. And so in May, I will be cycling 3,000 kilometers. So we did it about like 100 kilometers a day for 30 days. And just to really start that conversation and get rid of that stigma and be able to start having this as a conversation and show more people that everybody has mental health. This doesn't just affect some of us. It affects all of us to some degree. And so Bob, we haven't quite figured out what we're going to put him through yet, which should be fun, but we are so genuinely excited to get to start planning this. So that's where we're at with that.
Amazing. We will be following you and cheering you on, and can't wait to hear more details about the fundraiser. Natalie, is there anything I didn't ask you that you'd like to share, or any wisdom you want to impart on the listeners?
I mean, I think when it comes to counseling and taking that step, it's not an easy step. Yeah. No? It's sometimes it's reaching out and not being able to have that connection. And that's okay. To add something personal into that, it took me 9 times before I found a counselor that worked for me. And he's wonderful. And we've been working together for 4 years. And so as that piece, it's make sure that you book a few discovery calls, because one person, like someone who's going to really enjoy me might not like someone else, or I'm not the right fit for everybody. And I totally understand that. So when we're at the end of the day, find someone that works for you.
100%.
And we're there to support. We want to help you. We want to be there, and we can take this process as quickly or as slowly as you need. This is about you. It's not about us at the end of the day. And even if you have 2 sessions with the person and you're not getting that connection, we just want to make sure that you get the support that you need.
Love it. Natalie, thank you so much for coming in and sharing with us what you are doing at Tideline Wellness and your fundraiser. And we look forward to the amazing work that you're doing in the region.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.